Hello everybody. So today we are going to learn about ABAP work processes. How many work processes are there? What are the services? So as you see in this slide, the ABAP work processes are dialog, update, enqueue, spool and background and the two other processes which runs behind these 5 work processes, and they are dispatcher and message server. We will discuss each about. Okay, so let me do a practical. So the first one is, like as I said, it is a dialog work process. So there should be minimum 2 dialog work processes required per dispatcher that need to be configured per instance. This work process executes the transaction as required and communicates with the database instance process. So as I have discussed before that about the instance, okay, so we need to have a database instance, we need to have the application instance, okay, and what are the central instance, what are the services are required for running those central instance. Okay, so we need to have minimum 2 dialog work processes. If you configure less than 2, then your SAP won't start at all. It could create a problem. Then again you have to configure that to at least 3, 4, 5. Okay, so minimum you need to keep at least 2 dialog work processes. Okay, so second is background work processes. Background work processes, this is nothing but a background work processes executes programs that run without interacting with the user. At least 2 background processes are required for each SAP system. More than 1 background work process for each dispatcher can be configured. So if you see, when you work in the company, you will see a lot of users are working on the SAP system. So they usually, whenever they do anything, it will first go to the dialog work process. Okay, because in the dialog work processes, it will do the activity immediately. So for example, if you are running any program which is taking more than 10 minutes, then you need to set that program in background work process. Otherwise, what will happen if you are running any long programs in a dialog work process, then you will get dumps. Okay, you will get errors, you will get issues, and program will be interrupted, program will be corrupted. So a lot of issues will be arising there. So keep in mind that when you are configuring the dialog work processes, the user who is running the program more than the 10 minutes, I mean like more than 600 seconds, he needs to run that program in the background work process. That's why we schedule background work processes. The reason why we are I'm talking about background process means, if you see in the daytime, lot of the users are logging into the machine. Okay, lot of users are working, and in the night time nobody is working. So if you see, we will be learning the operation mode where we can, for example, say if we have 3 dialog work processes, right? If you have 3 dialog work processes, or say 5, and if you have 2 background work processes running in a day. Okay, so what you can do, you can switch automatically this dialog to 2 and background to 5 in the night time. So in this way, it will be easy for everybody, and their programs will run in a particular time given by them. So this is very, very important concept regarding this, and how we are going to change these configuration settings we'll be learning in the chapter operation modes. Okay, so just here I was explaining about the difference between dialog and background work process. And the third process is, we call it as enqueue work process. So basically NQ work process, only one NQ process exists in each SAP system, because this process ensures that updates are serialized with the help of a log table. Okay, so one NQ process will be in the SAP system. So, and the fourth work process is update work process. What is update work process is how it indicated, as I said, like dialog indicated by D, background is work process indicated by letter B, NQ work process indicated by E, and update work process indicated by V. Okay, not U, I will tell, because in update work process we have V1 and V2 they define. Okay, so you need to have minimum one update process and more than one process per dispatcher is allowed. So this process takes care of processing update requests. So this basically take care of your update request. Okay, so you need to have a minimum one update work processes. Next, fifth work process is what we call as a spool work processes, and this is indicated by S. Okay, so minimum one spool process is required and more than one process per dispatcher is allowed. This process passes sequential data to output devices such as printers. So here when you learn the topic printers, there we come across this spool work process. And when you are learning the background jobs, scheduling background jobs, you will come across that background work process. And when you are learning about the dialog work process, you will learning how to set up the dialog work processes, how to set the parameters for this. You all are going to see this. Okay, so now these are the 5 work processes. As I said, apart from this, there are other 2 processes. We call it as a dispatcher work process. What is dispatcher work process? There is one dispatcher work process per application instance, okay, and per each dialog instance. This is very, very important. I will write it. I mean, like, there should be minimum one dispatcher work process for application, per application, and you need to have per dialog instance. So you need to have a minimum of one dispatcher work process per application instance and per each dialog instance. If there is one central instance and two dialog in an SAP system, then there will be 3 dispatchers, right? So that is what I am telling. So you need to have one dispatcher per application and per dialog instance. So if you have one central instance and 2 dialog instance in an SAP system, then there will be 3 dispatchers. So what is the role of dispatcher? The role of dispatcher is to distribute incoming requests to the ABAP work threads. So this is a very big concept, and the main role of dispatcher. SAP sometimes won't start if dispatcher unable to get the incoming requests, right, from the ABAP work processes. So if the dispatcher starts, then all the ABAP work process will start. Okay, so when you know how to start and stop the SAP system, you need to see how many processes are running, okay, how many dialogues, how many background are there in a server. Okay, so you will be seeing all those things in practical. So I hope you understand the processor. And lastly, I told that there is one more we call as a message server. So what is message server? Message server is also a kind of process, and you will have only one message server exists in the SAP system, and it is installed on the central services instance. So what is the role of message server? Means it is basically responsible for communication between the dispatcher of each SAP instance within the same SAP system. So as I said, like when you start the SAP system, the message server will talk to dispatcher to get the incoming request from all the ABAP work processes. Okay, so this is, you need to have minimum one message server. Okay, So this is how the work process has been designed in such a way that, you know, what the purpose, what's the role of dialogue, what's the role of background, and queue, update, is pull, and so and so. So as you see there, you know, when SAP uses basically the acronym DVEBMGSXX. So if you know this, you no need to learn. If how many work processes are there, means like simply DVEBMGS. What is that? Nothing but dialogue, update, and queue, background, message, gateway, and spool. Okay, I forgot to tell about the gateway also. When it's gateway, what is a gateway? Basically, gateway is you need to have exactly one gateway per dispatcher in an SAP system. So the gateway is nothing but it's used to allow communication between different SAP systems. So if you have more than one SAP system, then if you want to communicate with other systems, then you need to configure gateway. Okay, so that's why that gateway service also they will configure an SAP system. So you need to have exactly one gateway per dispatcher in an SAP system. So the gateway is, as I said, like it's usually communicate. So this is what it indicated by this acronym DVEBMGSXX. XX is nothing but your instance number. As I have told that XS is nothing but instance number. And in how many instance number will be there? From 00 to 99. You can create this number of instances. It's nothing but it denotes an SAP instance within the SAP system. So it required for SAP to run. So for example, if I say if an SAP system comprises of one central instance with number 01, okay, and I will take an example to go define. For example, in a SAP system, you have one central instance, right? And for one central instance, you are giving the instance number as 01, okay, and two dialog instance, right? With the number 02 and 03, right? Then the SAP system is said to be comprised of how? DVEBMGS01, okay. Similarly, DVEBMGS02, similarly 03 instances. So like this, you will get 3 instances. So as for 3 instances means you need to have a 3 dispatcher. So this is how the work process works. So in the further sessions, I will be going to explain each and every in detail, like background, work processes, and enqueue, update, spool, everything. Okay. So this is the overview of all the work processes and services which are need for SAP to run. Thank you so much for attending this session.